In just a couple of hours' time, the Prime Minister will chair a cabinet meeting after telling MPs he's not prepared to walk away from his mandate. But was his rallying speech enough? We're joined by the broadcaster Andrew Neil. Andrew, we've been here before, and embattled Prime Minister, unpopular in the polls, people saying he's going to have to go, he can't turn things round, and then suddenly a stray voice saying he should go, the cabinet rally round, the Parliamentary Labour Party says, "We love you, Keir." He's in the free. In one bound, he is secure again. Is that the right reading of British politics today?
Yeah, in your dreams, but not in reality. He does live to fight another day, but he is vulnerable to being blown over by the slightest spring breeze. And he could actually face in the weeks and months ahead some pretty gusty winds. Indeed, let's not forget the cabinet support, cabinet loyalty for him had to be choreographed. It wasn't spontaneous. The backbenches cheered him last night because they own him now. This Prime Minister is now a prisoner of the Labour backbenches. He can do nothing without their support. And I think more important than any of that almost is that everything that now happens in British politics in the days, the weeks and the next couple of months ahead will be seen through the prism of Keir Starmer's job security or lack thereof. We'll look at everything in terms of what does this mean for Keir Starmer? Is he still going to be with us tomorrow morning? That's not healthy for the government. It's not healthy for the Prime Minister. And it certainly isn't healthy for the country.
I think what should be so baffling for our viewers is that the general election was only 18 months or so ago. Keir Starmer won a huge majority. You would have thought he would have been secure, and yet we've carried on the pattern we've seen with Theresa May and Boris Johnson and then Liz Truss, in the end Rishi Sunak, short-lived prime ministers under pressure, thrown out by their own supporters in Parliament. Do you think that Britain has become essentially ungovernable, that no prime minister, even with a big majority, can actually run this show, or is it actually down to Keir Starmer and his team and the mistakes they've made?
Britain's not ungovernable, but it's been badly governed for quite some time now. I mean, certainly for the past decade, if not more. I mean, the fact that we now have a lot more prime ministers per decade than Italy has. Italy used to have a prime minister every year. We're becoming a bit like that. And it's not good, whether it's Conservative or Labour. You need some continuity given the problems that we face. But it's not going to get it. And I think, although there was this enormous majority that Labour won in July 2024, it was a bit of a statistical anomaly. As you know, they won it on 34% of the vote. You know, when Tony Blair won his landslides, he got about 44% of the vote. Same with Margaret Thatcher. But this time, it was done on 34%. And at the time, I remember saying that support for Keir Starmer in particular, but Labour in general, it was as wide as the ocean, but it was as deep as the village pond. And that has proved to be the case. People basically voted to get rid of the Tories. They were up to their eye teeth with the Tories. They didn't necessarily vote for Labour. And of course, as we now know from Wes Streeting's WhatsApp messages to Peter Mandelson, that the key mission of this government, which was to get growth into the economy. We badly need some economic growth in the country. And as Wes Streeting has said, there is no plan to do that. We're floundering.
No.
Andrew, the manifesto, it was very simple, the picture on the front. It was a picture of Keir Starmer and it was the word change. So I suppose they could say they are sort of delivering. I mean, we've had 13 U-turns, changes in big policy, and he keeps changing his mind about how he's governing the country. And now it looks like we might change Prime Minister. You couldn't accuse them of lying on the front of their manifesto, could you?
Not of lying, but certainly of misleading, because the government has turned out to be nothing like the manifesto. Don't forget, this was a government that was going to be prudent, was not going to increase our taxes, bar a couple of specific taxes on things like school fees and non-DOMs. But in fact, it's turned out to be a massive tax and spend government. I'd like you to show me where that was in the manifesto. It's increased borrowing by tens of billions. It's increased tax by tens of billions, twice in two budgets. and it's increased spending by tens of billions. None of that was in the manifesto. And of course, it's one of the reasons why there's a lack of growth, because I know of no modern example in which a government taxes and spends itself to growth.
And
it
Andrew,
just doesn't happen.
You have said that you think that it's the end of days for the Prime Minister, but that the voters should fear what comes next. I mean, just give us the scenario if it's Angela Rayner, for instance, or if it's Wes Streeting, or Ed Miliband, who is going to be on our programme trying to talk about energy policy at 8:30.
I really don't think you should be frightening the children at this time in the morning with such possibilities. Look, people in general, Labour Party included, will be glad to see the back of Keir Starmer, whether it's after the South Manchester by-election or after the dreadful thumping he's going to get in the May elections on May the 7th, where he'll probably come third in Scotland, cue Anas Sarwar, or fourth in Wales, which Labour has run since its very existence, that at some stage people will be glad to see the back of him. But the soft left is now in charge of the Labour Party, and the next leader will be chosen by the soft left. Now, the soft left wants more tax and spend, and more tax and spend will panic the gilt markets where we go to borrow money. They'll demand more to lend to us. It'll be destabilizing. So, yeah, maybe a lot of people, there's a majority to see the back of Keir Starmer. He's turned out to be a bit of a dud. But what comes next could be much worse when it comes to economic policy. And that's something we'll probably find out before the Labour Party conference in September.
Andrew, we don't mind frightening the children at 7:50 in the morning. We've got you on our programme. And what could be more frightening than this kind of doom-laden? Is there anything Keir Starmer can do this morning to turn this round when he meets with the Cabinet? Or do you think it's just all over?
No, I don't think there is now. First of all, he's lost his political arm in Morgan McSweeney. And in some ways, there is no Keir Starmer without Morgan McSweeney. We know he's not a great political tactician, and he's lost his political tactician. Now, the problem is that there are a number of so he survived for now, but there are big bumps on the road. What happens after they lose South Manchester on February the 26th? Which is likely to happen. What happens if they do come third in Scotland, fourth in Wales on May the 7th? Will he survive that? What happens when more comes out? You know, we've had the Epstein files. We're now going to have the Mandelson files. We can be pretty sure that what's in them will not be helpful to Keir Starmer or the government. And it is annoying, I think, in a way, because there are a number of positives which could help the British economy. Energy prices are falling quite fast. Oil and gas is going down. That's like a Keynesian boost to the economy, getting more growth in. Europe is rearming. The American economy is going gangbusters. That's our single biggest market.
Okay.
So if we had a government that could take advantage of these things, there would be reason for optimism. But instead, we'll have a government obsessed with Keir Starmer's future.